The best way to predict the future, they say, is to invent it. And for the city of San Francisco, this isn't just a saying, but a reality, as the city aims to integrate killer robots into its police force. For many, this has come as a shock, seeing as it was the first state in the US to ban facial recognition software by the government. Because of this, the unexpected acceptance of the future through the promotion of killer robots is alarming and causes concern. Many people worry that this will be a threat to communities of color, while law enforcement agencies insist that there are times when only a lethal robot can keep the public safe. So who is right? Why the sudden policy shift? And what are the dangers it spells, particularly for people of color? Welcome to Around the World, where today we will be looking at San Francisco's plan to deploy killer robots on the streets. The idea of robot police officers policing the streets and dishing out law and order has been a staple of countless sci-fi movies, novels, comics, and television series. Many became super successful as they captured the hearts of millions around the world. However, many of these stories and tales were just that, stories and tales. Until recently, when the state of California did the unexpected. 3 years ago, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors made headlines by prohibiting local governments from using facial recognition technology. So it was a big surprise when early this year, the board completely changed its mind and announced that the police could use remote-controlled robots to kill criminal suspects who pose a threat to their safety or the safety of the public. Before the vote, Assistant Police Chief David Lazar said that killer robots might be needed to handle some mass shootings or suicide bombings, like the one at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas in 2017, or the one in Dallas in 2016 that killed 5 police officers. Many people think that the fact that the 2016 shooter was killed by explosives attached to a Remotech F5A bomb disposal robot used by the Dallas Police Department is a strong reason why killer robots may be on the streets soon. But even though this shows how far technology and law enforcement have come, some civil rights groups, San Francisco residents, and experts on police brutality are worried about putting lethal robots to work in the city. They worry that a more militarized police force will give minorities a reason to be prejudiced and make it more likely that police will harass or kill people with mental health problems, people who are homeless, and people of color. The police department, on the other hand, says that this might not be true because a police chief has to give permission for a robot to use deadly force and has to think about de-escalation or less lethal options first. This, however, doesn't seem to be enough to subdue the fear and concern the citizens now face. According to a report released this year by the California Racial and Identity Profiling Advisory Board, which seeks to eliminate racial disparities in policing, the San Francisco Police Department, or SFPD, searched black people at a rate 5 times greater than that for white residents, and they were 13 times more likely to use force on black residents than on white residents. Stats like these directly feed into the public's fears because they make people worry about the people in the community who may be the targets of this kind of violence. Prior to the voting that took place on October 29th of 2022, Supervisor Aaron Peskin mentioned the possibility that the police may make a mistake when using explosives and that it's not only a possibility, but history. He reminded everyone that during a standoff in Philadelphia in 1985, police launched explosives from a helicopter into a house, which started a fire that ultimately resulted in the deaths of 11 people and the destruction of 61 homes. Peskin stated that this was one of the most heinous and unlawful occurrences in the history of law enforcement in the United States, but he expressed some degree of solace in the knowledge that nothing even remotely like that has ever taken place in San Francisco. In the end, he cast the deciding vote to sanction the deployment of lethal robots by the SFPD. Along with the wording that encourages consideration of de-escalation, he also included the limitation that only the chief of police, assistant chief of operations, or Deputy Chief of Special Operations may sanction the use of deadly force with a robot. Many, like Supervisor Hillary Ronan, voted against killer robots at the meeting, saying that, like many US parents, she sometimes worries about school shootings, but that the new policy opens a Pandora's box where police using robots is the norm. The tool begs to be used, she says. It might be used originally only occasionally, but over time, people get less sensitive. Another notable opponent of the policy is Peter Acero, an associate professor at the New School in New York who studies police force automation. According to him, giving police this option means they're going to use it when they should be looking for other options. He believes that it may be counterproductive to allow police robots to carry lethal weapons. He believes that if the suspect realizes the robot may be armed, they may be less receptive to attempts at negotiation with the robot. To battle this new development, he founded the International Committee for Robot Arms Control, which is currently working on a global treaty to outlaw lethal autonomous robots. However, there might be no stopping the future, as although only 12 are currently operational, the San Francisco Police Department has admitted to owning 17 killer robots. According to them, the models may be outfitted with everything from a shotgun and explosives to a pepper spray emitter and can be used for search and rescue after national disasters like earthquakes. Thankfully, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors voted to halt the controversial policy that would have allowed police to use robots for deadly force on Tuesday, November 29th of 2022. This is because the plan was met with strong opposition and warnings about the militarization and automation of police work just days after they approved it. The Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to make it clear that robots can't be used in this way for the time being. But they sent the issue back to a committee for further discussion and could vote in the future to let police use robots in a lethal manner in limited cases. Before the vote, in his dissenting opinion, Supervisor Dean Preston brought out the uneven record that San Francisco has on the use of police technology. He said if police shouldn't be trusted with tasers, they sure as hell shouldn't be trusted with killer robots. Supervisor Dean Preston was referring to the fact that crime rates are going up at an exponential rate, and the dangers of being a police officer are getting worse every day. And San Francisco, which is known as a hub for technology, recently passed a law that prohibited the use of tasers by law enforcement in 2018, as well as a law that prohibited providing oversight of surveillance technology, and a law that prohibited the use of face recognition in 2019. To him, it was absurd to ban such essential police equipment and yet endorse the use of lethal robots, which is why in his speech he said, "We have a police force, not an army." The robot policy that would have been implemented in San Francisco comes at a time when law enforcement agencies have more access to robots, which also happen to be becoming more sophisticated. The vast majority of already operational police robots are equipped with slow-moving Caterpillar tracks. But police departments in New York and Germany are beginning to deploy legged robots such as the agile quadruped Spot Mini. But according to Dean Preston, the people of San Francisco have spoken loud and clear. There is no place for killer police robots in our city, he said in a statement after the vote. We should be working on ways to decrease the use of force by local law enforcement, not giving them new tools to kill people. With crime rates increasing at an exponential pace and the risk to the police profession increasing by the day, it is becoming increasingly difficult to maintain public order. And so the reasoning for the shift toward deadly robots, which would ultimately remove some of the risk associated with the work, is not hard to understand. But with great power comes great responsibility. And the people of San Francisco worried that their police force is not ready for such power or responsibility. Because of this, they have fought against the policy to use killer robots. But what do you think? Are robots a beacon for the future, or are they a danger looming over the heads of the people? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content from around the world. And we'll see you in the next episode.